afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting, January 3rd meeting of the Washington County Board of Education to order. We have a quorum present, and we'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. We're fortunate to have with us this afternoon Kennedy Brown, who is a 5th grade student at Pleasant Valley Elementary School. Kennedy, are you ready to lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Sing on. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for leading us, Kennedy, and thank you for being here this afternoon. Would you like to introduce those people who are with you?
Yes, please. So, right there, that is my principal, Miss Mayanato. She's a great principal. She rewards us and encourages us, and we have a lot of fun things because of her.
Well, that's great to know.
And then this is my art teacher / mother. She's at my school, yet she's my mother. So it's very enjoyable when your mother gets to work at your school. It's very fun. And then the last person I'm going to introduce is my little sister, Kendall. She loves to write books. Her books are her genius. They're hilarious. She writes little comic strips. She wrote an 100-page book, and she's not even done yet.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Welcome, Kendall. Are you a writer too, Kennedy?
No, I'm more in the culinary arts.
Oh, really? Oh, what dish do you cook best?
Well, it's between spaghetti and sushi for me.
Oh, well, I could do the spaghetti, but no thanks to the sushi. Thank you. When we were chatting earlier, you told me that you do some traveling. Would you like to share with us your thoughts on traveling?
Well, last year I started traveling around the world. So every spring break now, it's a tradition that we go to another country. Our first country we went to was Japan. It was beautiful and crowded. We went to the tallest tower in the world, Skytree. That was terrifying. And they had ice cream up there. It wasn't traditional American ice cream. It tasted really good. And the cones, they were smooth cones instead of the waffle cones that we have.
Well, it sounds like you've had some wonderful experiences. Do my colleagues have any questions that they might like to ask Kennedy?
Well, this isn't a question, but my son would disagree with having his mother in school with him because I had him in school, and he was not happy with that at all. But it's nice that you have yours and you're enjoying that.
Mr. Ragnar, did you have
Yes, ma'am. Kennedy, what grade are you in? I heard, but I didn't hear.
I'm in 5th grade.
5th grade. Your mom has you read a lot of books. Do you read a lot?
Yes.
Yes, I can tell. You have a very wonderful vocabulary and speak
Thank you.
very much like an adult, not like a 5th grader. So keep it up.
Thank you.
And thank you again for being here, Kennedy.
May I ask her something?
Yes, absolutely.
Is your mom tough on you as a teacher?
Yes. She's very tough, but she does it so we can excel in our learning of art.
Good. How do you address her in class?
As Mom.
I just wondered because I taught my son and he had problems with it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, Kennedy, and for leading us in the pledge. Thank you.
Cute kid.
Okay, we'll have approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Any opposed? We haven't done the minutes yet. We just did the agenda. Thank you. Keep me straight, Mr. Ridenour. I appreciate the help. Okay, let's move to the approval of the minutes.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes from closed session dated Tuesday, December 13th, 2016.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the minutes, please raise your hand.
Any
Which
discussion?
one?
Which minutes?
He read.
Closed session minutes
Closed session.
dated
Okay.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
December
Yeah.
13th.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you. 7-0. The second set of minutes, Mr. Bickford?
I make a motion to approve the business meeting minutes dated Tuesday, December 13th, 2016.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? 7-0. And the student member concurs. Okay. And we have no one signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else out there who would like to come forward for public comment? Seeing no one, we'll move on to old business. First item of old business is the consideration of the second reading of proposed changes to policy JFH, policy prohibiting bullying, harassment, or intimidation.
Approve the first reading of the proposed changes to policy JFH on December 13th, 2016. Since the first reading, the community has been provided with an opportunity to offer comments. We have not received any comments. The policy committee is requesting the approval of the second reading of policy JFH. Thank you.
We have a motion for approval of policy JFH.
Madam President, I move to approve the second reading of proposed policy JFH entitled Policy Prohibiting Bullying, Harassment, or Intimidation.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Discussion. No discussion? No questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of the approval of the second reading of the proposed changes to policy JFH, raise your hand, please. 7-0, and the student member concurs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trott. Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. And we'll move on to new business. Our first item of new business is a donation. Dr. Akers?
Afternoon, President Williams, member of the board, Dr. Wilcox. I'm here on behalf of South Hagerstown High School to request your approval of a generous donation of $5,010 from the South Hagerstown High School Touchdown Club to South Hagerstown High School. The purpose of this donation is to support a future public-private partnership for an improvement to the athletic facilities.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for acceptance of the gift?
I just have a question. Is the Touchdown Club separate?
Motion.
Not
Take a motion.
yet.
Can we have a motion first?
I'm sorry.
That's
Excuse me.
We have a motion for approval of the gift.
So moved.
I'm in La La Land.
Okay, we have a motion to approve a gift of $5,010 to South High from the South Hagerstown High School Touchdown Club. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gesford. And now discussion.
I just have one. Is the Touchdown Club separate from the Athletic Boosters at South High? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. The kind of piggyback here off of Mr. Stauffer, the Touchdown Club, is that like parents?
Yes,
Or
parents, former players, I think they have a good constituency of former players, but also the parents of current players as well.
Then I'd just like to thank those individuals and that club for doing that. This is what makes partnerships work, is when people in the community, be it alumni or staff or current, present students, make donations. It's nice that it goes back and they get rewarded in their schools. So thank you extended to all those folks who did that.
Mrs. Harshman?
Now, I know what this means, but just in case there's anyone who doesn't know what touchdown goes with, this is the football, just for the football team, correct? Or are there other groups incorporated in it?
The folks who are involved are there primarily to support the football program, but they can look at improving the entire stadium facility, so obviously it could benefit other teams as well. Yeah.
But it's based on the needs of the football team, correct?
Yes.
Good.
Mhm.
But lacrosse, soccer also play on that stadium field. I mean, you know.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of accepting the gift from the South Hagerstown High School Touchdown Club, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0. Mr. Brownell? Oh, thank you. 7-0. And a big thank you to the Touchdown Club for their generosity. Dr. Akers, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Dr. Pugh and Mrs. Francisco. And you have for us some information about the ad hoc or advisory committee, we're calling it the
Yes,
university.
thank you. In November, the board approved the establishment of an ad hoc committee on diversity. And to establish membership for that 15-member committee, they specifically gave advice for us to seek individuals knowledgeable about the issue under consideration by virtue of their training or experience, that it would be beneficial to include individuals with a wide range of perspectives, including, by way of example, individuals from the faith-based community, not-for-profit entities, the field of public education, including students, business leaders, elected officials, and individuals from within the Washington County community. So we're pleased to submit to you today the proposed list of 15 members for your review and approval, and we're happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Looking for a motion to approve the proposed candidate for membership to the advisory committee.
Madam President, I move to approve the proposed candidate list for membership on a Board of Education Advisory Committee, being the ad hoc committee for diversity.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stauffer. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approving the proposed candidates for membership on the advisory committee for diversity? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Pugh, may I ask, when will these be announced and how will they be announced?
As soon as your approval. With your approval today, we'll notify the individuals that they've been selected. It'll be a public document as well available.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
And that takes us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Wilcox.
I just have two items today, Madam President. The first is that the state superintendent, Dr. Salmon, will be in the district on January 5th of 2017 this year. She's going to visit Fountaindale Elementary School, Northern Middle School, and North High. That will likely be in the morning of the 5th. And then we'll talk about some other issues before she departs for another district. The second item is that we continue to work on the budget. The budget is presenting a significant challenge to us, but with the leadership team, we continue to whittle away at it, and we will meet the goals set up under the calendar that was approved by the board for a presentation of a budget to the board in late January.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Wilcox. And that brings us to personnel action, and Mrs. Francisco.
Mrs. Williams, Dr. Wilcox, members of the board, as discussed earlier in closed session, there are several personnel actions today for your review and approval.
We have a motion? Have a motion for approval of
So moved.
personnel? And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept personnel action. All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to reports to the board. And we have no reports from the superintendent, so that brings us to committee reports, and committees haven't met. Committee assignments will be announced and voted on at our meeting on the 17th. We'll move on then to miscellaneous business, consideration of future agenda items. There is a listing of future agenda items included with your materials. I will say that we have decided on a time for the budget workshop that is scheduled for the 31st of January. We'll begin at 9 a.m. and that will be a 2-hour meeting. We may not use all of the 2 hours, but we'll schedule for 9 to 11 on the 31st of January for that first budget workshop.
Madam President,
Yes.
I was wondering, for the future agenda consideration, maybe report on social centennial, is that what it?
Social Sentinel?
Yeah, social sentinel, yeah, maybe a report on that.
Do we have any other board members interested, concur that they would like a report on Social Sentinel? I see some heads nodding.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Dr. Wilcox, is that something that can be done? All right, we'll add that to our list. Agenda Planning Committee will. We have a full meeting planned for our next session on January 17th. We have several reports, so that could turn into a lengthy meeting. So plan accordingly. And any other suggestions for future agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to board member comments. Mr. Reidner, would you like to start?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mrs. Fisher?
I have nothing.
Mr. Gessford?
Nothing, thank you.
None?
Mr. Bickford?
Ditto.
No. Mrs. Harshman?
Well, I'd like to hope that everyone has a successful and safe new year, and that 2017 is much better than last year. Always hoping.
Ms. Greenwald?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
I have no comments, so with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.